I really love bringing nature into our home, and especially the seasonality of it. So it requires changing the display quite often, or at least 4 times a year. But I find so much joy in it and so much pleasure, and I thought I'll share it with you today. Above our fireplace in the lounge, we have a large mantelpiece, which is, if it's not decorated, it looks very blank. And I had the dried oranges on it for a while now, and I think it's time to change it, and especially now we're like in late summer, early autumn. I think this is a great time to create a garland with a mixture of dried flowers and plants and fresh flowers, which will slowly dry, and obviously all of this will change color as the time goes on, and I think that's really beautiful. So I've prepared a few things here. I have some dried flowers and plants and fresh flowers and plants, but those that I know will dry and wilt gracefully. You know, they will kind of retain their beauty. I have some elderflower here, elderflower berries. They are quite heavy. They will dry beautifully. They will wrinkle a little bit, but I find, you know, a lot of beauty in that. But they are a bit heavy, so you probably don't want too many heavy items on that. Obviously, that depends on, you know, the size of your garland and what you're using for it, but I think that's going to be fine. But I don't want any more. Another quite heavy material I have is rose hips here, and I also know they are going to dry gorgeously. They will wrinkle, they'll get a little smaller, the flowers will, the leaves will wilt and yellow, but it will look beautiful. I also have this, which I don't know what that's called. It's surely a weed, but it's been growing on the field. And now it looks very sort of architectural. It's got that quality about it that, you know, it will definitely bring a lot of dimension. And here are some grasses. Now these are just very common, nothing special about them, but I love their lightness, and, you know, they are already dried. They will stay like that, and that's quite good to have that, you know, base. I have some hydrangeas that have dried last year, so they are properly browned. Some other flowers. I have this Perovska, which is one of my favorites. It's a type of sage, and this is it dried, and this is it fresh. So in both forms, it's gorgeous, and it will take about a week or two, depending on the fact whether we light the fire or not, to get to this stage. So, you know, you get best of both worlds. I have a little bit of dill for extra fluffiness, and gypsophilia from our garden as well, which is already dried. I mean, some of them are a little fresher. I have some chrysanthemums, which, you know, many would consider those quite ugly now, but I like that. I love that, you know, that color goes from quite bright and intense into something a lot more toned down and soft, and I find a lot of beauty in that. And because of that, I also have a few dahlias here. They are very red, and the color will intensify as they dry, and they will get a little smaller, but dahlias can be dried and they will look gorgeous. And these, very spiky, and also nigella, which is, I mean, that's always beautiful. And all of these are quite fluffy. I love the sense of lightness and airiness. We have a few focal points like these dahlias, but, you know, that's not too much solidity. And I'm going to try and put them together now. So now for building of our garland, you can choose whether you want to do it on a piece of string or on a piece of wire, or even on a piece of twig, branch. It could be shorter or longer. If you're doing it on a branch, and you'd have to attach the plant material to it with a string. You could create little posies, little bunches of various plants, and attach them in this way. So there could be several hanging off it, and then you attach some string to the ends of this branch and hang it off the mantelpiece. And I think that would look really beautiful if you're into that natural look. I like it to look a little bit more rustic, so I went for that garden twine or string. It's really important to measure the size of your mantelpiece so you don't make it too short. I mean, you can save it later, add more string. But you know, it's good to have something solid to work with. So measure, add a little bit more so you have something to attach it with, and then start putting it together. I am going to be using the same string to attach the plants to my base. And I think that will just sort of blend in. So I have these focal points, right? These most boldest plants like chrysanthemums and dahlias, and maybe this elderberries as well. And I want to start with those. Usually I have 3 of everything when it comes to focal points. So I will want to start with these because then everything else is kind of, you know, fluffing it up. So I have a small piece of string and basically tie it wherever I want it to be. Maybe 2 knots. Now you could use a beautiful ribbon or like a handmade ribbon for it, and that could look really nice. Depending on the look that you're trying to get, you can leave the stems a little longer, or you can clip them after you've attached the plant to your string. Obviously don't cut too short because it will fall off. And also another thing that is quite important is that once you put these focal points on, you can still sort of move them around a little bit to spread them out evenly. So when you're adding your fluffy bits like gypsophilia or grasses or fennel, it will, you know, look sort of balanced. And another thing here is that, as you can see, I'm leaving the stem of this a little longer, and then I'm going to put another piece over it so it looks a little richer and fuller. So they are layered. And then I can cut the tops off because I don't want them too long. When you're trying to attach heavier elements like these rose hips, a good idea is to leave a little shoot and tie it underneath it so the whole thing doesn't slip out of the string. It will, I'll show you, it will sort of sit on that shoot. No, I really tied it well, but you know, if it would be to slip down a little bit, this will hold it in place. So that's a good tip if you want something heavier. So I've done the same here, you see. It's also tied. Oh, you see, it's just gonna kind of hang off that. It's not gonna fall down. But as it dries, it will get lighter, really. So it's only for the first few days that you may worry about it, you know, sagging and falling. Right, and I think we are ready for the fluffy bits now, because this looks pretty good. They are well spaced out, I think. So there is space now between all of these bigger elements to put something more lighter and airy. And obviously try and think about your color combinations. So we have green and the dark deep maroon, and obviously quite intense red. So, you know, this white will go very well with it. Lots of green from Nigella will look fine too. I'm starting to think whether this Perovska, no, it will look great. I mean, there's so much texture in it, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. So I will just be filling the gaps with a lighter plant material, and I will keep on adding more and more until I feel this is enough, or, you know, there's plenty now. As a rule of thumb, I would always say more is better, because it can look a little sad if there's just not enough plants on that garland. So the fuller you make it, the nicer it will look. It will look rich, and especially that we're in the season of, you know, harvest and end of summer, that richness and that abundance, I think, also encompasses, you know, where we're at right now in the year, and to be able to bring that into your home, I think, is meaningful. So I'll just keep on working on this now. I think a great thing about this is that You are able to bring seasonal plants into your home and they will last for a while. I have some dried eucalyptus leaves and branches, and I thought, well, that will look good. But then I thought, it's not really native. Well, dahlias aren't native, but they're popular enough, you know, you see them in gardens. So I suppose just like eucalyptus doesn't make me immediately think of an English garden, which is where we are. So I want to capture that spirit of where we at right now. Now this sage, because it's got so much essential oil in it, it smells amazing when I attach it. And same with fennel and the dill, they will smell so beautiful as they dry in the house. So I'm now putting the last thing on. So I've attached almost everything I had. Now I know some of these things will need adjusting because they are sort of coming out. The grasses will probably slip out as well, but I will lift it up and I will take it into the house now. So I can see it's not quite in the middle, but in a minute I will be able to kind of pull them forward a little bit and put them in the right place. I mean, it's roughly right. And I can still play with the length of some, so I can pull it a bit higher, this hydrangea, or lower. But once I'm happy with the length, I'm just gonna clip them to be roughly the same length so it doesn't look too messy. You can also adjust the way they lay it, so like this chrysanthemum can be on top of the grasses, and so can be these elderberries. And obviously if you have a shorter string, they will be higher, right? Depending on the size of the mantelpiece you have, or you can make them hang lower near your fireplace. But I think that's pretty good. I like it a lot. So I think this looks pretty good, and I really enjoyed making it. I love doing things like that. And I'm looking forward to seeing it turn color, you know, getting more toned down and wilted, because there's a lot of beauty in that. So I hope you'll make yourself something like this as well, so you can bring a little bit of nature and season into your home.